I can get a little more aggressive. You'll see me go to town. If you get too aggressive in the beginning, I think I can start going to town. If you get too, when the seeds are whole, if you get too aggressive, they'll go flying out all over the place. So right now, I'm going around the edge. Most of my grinding occurs around the top of this, the top rim of the spice, okay, if you can kind of see in there. I go around, I do a lot of my work at the top edge of that spice, and then I'll shake it and work on another area. I do a lot of spinning with it, so I just spin it, I spin it again, I spin it again. I get down in the bottom sometimes and work that. Sometimes I pound, and I just keep working it, work it, until it's all ground up. I want to remind you, I had some spices that were already powdered, and they're still off to the side. I don't want them in this bowl right here where I'm trying to grind stuff. It's all going to get mixed up very shortly because I'm feeling like that ground up pretty quickly and efficiently. I'm very happy. I'm so happy. I'm so happy. Yeah. Okay, I'm going to get all these my cinnamon and salt and all that good stuff, and I'm going to blend that together. And I had some bitter spices like those cumin seeds and peppercorns and things like that. Now they're going in with those sweet spices like cinnamon and clove and all of that good stuff. Clove. I did not put my clove in here. Sorry, guys. My clove is right here. So there's a teaspoon of, or a pinch of clove as well. I think it was a teaspoon in that recipe. I'm glad I remembered that because that clove makes a big difference. Now I got it all in there. Okay, so I've got a beautiful spice blend. Not sure how well you all could see that, but it's very, very fine. It's really toasty. I got my nose all up in there and everything. We toasted those spices. They taste the bomb, or they smell the bomb, right? Let me just kind of rinse up. I'm covered in spice here. Now, the next step here is I'm going to give our roast a little initial sear. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a pan on the fire, and I'm just going to turn it on low just to get this thing warming up. I'm going to crust my roast. I'm going to show it to you and everything. And by the time I show that to you, we should have a pretty hot pan here. Okay, so I got my pan on about 5 out of 10 right now. And let's show you the roast. Okay, so here it is. Okay, beautiful little lamb shoulder roast. Okay, shoulder tends to be, the shoulder supports the weight of the animal, so it tends to be a fairly tough cut of meat. There are a few tender little muscles in there, but on the whole, shoulder or chuck in beef tends to be very tough, which doesn't make it a bad cut of meat. It just makes it appropriate for things like slow roasting, braising, stewing, things like that. Chuck is outstanding for all of those applications. Okay, so what we have here is that it's kind of that front arm of the lamb, kind of right here, the upper arm. We have it tied, so it is in a nice shape here. I have salted the blazes out of this thing about 2 hours ago, so the salt has been penetrating. I've got it sitting on a paper towel, so it's nice and dry right now. I'm going to get rid of that. And let me wash up before I really get into this, before I start handling. And I'm going to just rub him thoroughly with my dry rub. Once I've got that rub on there, we're going to give him a good sear. I'm going to throw those onions underneath, and it's going to we're going to cover it and let it cook low and slow. Our coffee session will be over for the morning. We are almost in the oven with this guy. I should say that there's a reason I'm giving it an initial sear. If I had a very, very large piece of meat, this is probably 2 pounds tops, right? If I had a very large piece of meat, that would be in the oven for a good long time. It probably wouldn't need an initial sear, but this guy isn't going to need to cook that long. It's probably not going to pick up all the color I really want. So I'm going to give it a good sear so I know it picks up that golden brown delicious on the outside here. Okay, so my pan's been heating up, but it's still not quite at searing temperature, so I'm doing good. I'm going to go ahead. I've washed my hands, and I'm going to go ahead and start putting on my spice blend. Ras al Halum. Okay, on the ends and all around. And pretty soon I'm just going to really get into it, pick it up. And I've got more than enough of the spice blend. I'm just going to throw it on down. Really pack it on there. It got some in my nose. Oh boy. Woo, I'm awake. My oven is preheated. It just hit its temperature. We're on a great schedule here. This is perfect, okay? So there is my meat. I should have shown it to you here while I was rolling it around. I was looking at my handsome face instead. But let me show you that meat. There she is, okay? And again, just a beautiful little roast that's going to provide me maybe 2, maybe 3 dinners with this. I kind of eat it with a little bit of spiced rice or something like that. All right, so I've got my pan here. I'm just going to get a little of my cooking oil that I use over here. Whatever your favorite cooking oil is will probably work just fine in here. Olive oil would be excellent for this. North Africa. So my pan is nice and hot. You guys can hear that sizzling, I think. And I'm going to go ahead and move my roast right on in there. And I'm searing off the fatty side first. And I just want a light sear on that. This might need a little more of the fat in there because of the spice blend kind of soaks it up. So let me get a little more fat. And I might even start basting. Let me move that. Clean up a little bit. Notice I'm not really messing with the roast. I kind of stepped away. Get another sip of coffee. Let's go back to that roast. And I'm going to take a quick look at him. And that's about all the sear I need on that guy, on that side. I'm going to do another. Remember, this is going to be cooking for a long time, so I don't need a ton of searing on this guy. This is just to get the ball rolling, warm things up. It'll kind of make the cooking process more efficient. Here it is, still going. Don't want to mess with it too much. But that side is now seared, okay? Now I'm setting it on its third side. And it keeps on going. I was talking about some basting, perhaps. Just grabbing a little bit of that fat, rolling it over the top. It's kind of a deep pan for that. Not very efficient shape, pan shape for basting. But you guys get the idea, right? And I'm going to roll it onto another side. And then I want to do the 2 ends as well. The aroma in here is insane right now. This is going to be so good. Again, I seasoned the daylights with salt. I seasoned this roast like crazy about 2 hours ago, so it was really salty on the outside. I put a little salt in that spice blend as well. And I think my 4th sear is done. I'm standing it up this time. Now it's standing on one end. You can kind of see it poking out. Let me pick that up and see if that helps. Kind of hard for me to see in this light. But you guys get the idea. And then when I sear off the other end, I'm going to have to stand here and hold it. You are so beautiful. Yeah, dinner's going to be the bomb tonight, guys. I'm very excited about this. All of that fat's going to stay in the bottom. And I've got my initial sear done. I'm turning that heat off. Okay, initial sear is all good. Seared all the way around. Not a heavy sear. I'm going to go ahead and I've got my flame turned off. It's kind of smoking right now. But I'm going to go ahead and drop all of my veggies in. I can grab that side. I'm not really trying to cook these vegetables right now. Getting everything out. And I'm placing that roast right on top of that bed of vegetables. So you can kind of see in there. Beautiful. Again, not trying to cook this at all. It's just sizzling because the pan was hot. Next, I'm going to go ahead. Again, this is not standard roasting procedure to have it in a open, dry oven. This is a slow roast covered, okay? Kind of the old school way to braise. So I've just got that big, heavy cast iron lid. It's kind of a Dutch oven situation now, sitting on top of those veggies, and it's going into a 350-degree oven here, okay? I might even turn my oven up a little bit. Let me get it in. Might even turn my oven up a little bit just to get the ball rolling. I do want to talk about one thing, right? Notice how everything was hot when it went in the oven. Like I kind of, the onions, maybe a little less hot than everything else, but I got a jump start on everything and then got it in the oven. It's not going to take it that long to start really cooking here, okay? But if you take all of these ingredients, let's say you take a roast right out of the refrigerator and, and just throw it on top of some vegetables and ice cold vegetables and throw the whole thing into an oven that you just turned on, you're not going to be cooking for 40 minutes, an hour maybe before that starts going. So all of this pre-searing, all of this, pulling my meat out early, a couple hours early and salting it, I let it sit out at room temperature and kind of temper a little bit so it wasn't this ice cold piece of meat. And now it's going in there, and probably in more like 10, 15 minutes, that thing will be up to that cooking temperature that we want. And it's all because I gave it that jump start in the beginning, okay? And so that's kind of what we're looking at. We're going to see the back end of this thing at 4 o'clock during the official Quarantine Kitchen Happy Hour. Until then, I'm going to be in here checking this thing every 20 minutes or so and basting if I need to. Just keep laying on more and more of that fat. I should have some nice juices in the bottom. I'll kind of stir around those veggies from time to time. If any of those veggies look like they're starting to burn, add a drop of water next time you stir, okay? And just let it kind of steam in there a little bit. It is kind of a humid cooking technique that we're doing here, okay? Again, this is the way they used to braise back in the old days. It was a liquidless braise. It was more just humidity from the meat in a closed Dutch oven or something like that. This meat is going to be pull apart tender, okay, where you can eat this stuff with a plastic spork when it's done, okay, when the stuff's done right, okay, and that's what I'm hoping we're going to see a little bit later on, okay. So let's see. One thing I wanted to drop out there, again, just a reminder, back at 4 o'clock today for Quarantine Kitchen Happy Hour. Wednesdays at 4 o'clock. It is Between Two Couches. I'm going to be interviewing chefs and food people around town, okay? Make sure to show up this Wednesday because I have got the mighty Patricio Wise from Nick's Taco, okay? We're going to be talking about like, hey, what's Nick's about, right? What is all that stuff, right? And talking about what he's doing during COVID and just, he's a nice guy. We're going to be hanging out and meeting the guy if you've never met him before. You got to check the dude out. He's a very cool guy, okay? And so this Wednesday, 4 o'clock, Between Two Stoves, okay? We're going to be doing that. And if I don't see you tonight, that's where we'll see you. But I have a feeling we're all going to be here tonight, okay, guys? So let's do it a little bit later on, 4 o'clock, Quarantine Kitchen Happy Hour. Don't forget, the party's always in the kitchen. Let's do this. Yo. Kitchen Happy Hour. I'm just washing my hands up here. Let me finish that up, and we're going to get this party started, okay, guys? I'll be right back. Oh, yeah, it's going to be good. Got some good times going. I have been smelling a slow roasting lamb shoulder all day long in this kitchen. These North African aromas permeating the house. It's been a very fun day around here, just kind of smelling this. And you're about ready to see that soon. But the main, the main part of our day is this afternoon, is our risotto. We're going to be doing risotto today. I've been going through several grain cooking methods with you guys over time, and I haven't covered risotto yet. So I was going to go ahead and do that today. It's just one of those base techniques. As I've been talking about grains, you kind of want to know just these base techniques rather than just following a recipe every time. And if you know 4 different grain cooking methods, you can pretty much handle most anything that comes down the pike, okay? So far in these classes, I have covered a boiling method, okay? And that's where you just have boiling water. You drop your grain or grain product like pasta, noodle, something like that into that boiling water, and you cook it until the grain or the pasta is done to the teeth. Literally al dente is what that literally means, okay? So that's one grain cooking method. I did another one that we use for flavored grains, you know, like Mexican rice or curry rice and things like that. We use the pilaf method. So you saw me do that in one of our classes in the past. And now we are getting ready to roll into risotto, okay? So without any further ado, we're going to get into this. And this technique is great because you can use it with a lot of grains. I mean, the name sounds like rice, risotto, right? But you can actually use this method for a lot of different grains, and that's what we are going to see today. So we're going to show you that. I'm going to show you this roast, as I said, the slow roast. We're going to see what that looks like now, and we're going to just it's just going to fall apart. We're going to pick that apart. It's going to be beautiful. And then we are also going to be seeing just a little salad that I'm going to throw together. I got some root vegetables, some carrots and radishes and things like that, and I'm going to actually pair them with some stone fruit. I got some nectarine and some cherry. I'm going to blend them together. Head exploding, right? But as we're eating this kind of spicy lamb over this risotto, we'll have those nice cooling bites and acidic bites to kind of cool our palate down as we're kind of working things through, okay? Working through that dish. It's going to be beautiful. Before I get started on anything, let me cheer anyone and everyone who is listening, and let me see if I can get a conversation started here. I've been having trouble getting my comments, and I want to share comments. Okay. So hopefully we'll start seeing some comments rolling in from you folks. So the first thing I want to do is welcome everyone. And then I'm going to start doing an infusion. And we've seen an infusion before in one of my other classes. Just last week, I was infusing flavors into cream to make a potato dish. Today, I'm going to be infusing flavors into a broth that I have, or just kind of a light stock, actually. And I'm going to infuse some spice flavors into that. And that is going to be the flavor base for my risotto. I'm going to just kind of keep it really simple. The idea behind this, let me just show you these spices, okay? So one of the spices is cinnamon sticks, okay? They're still in the stick form, okay? Another is, I'm going to toss a bay leaf in there. Ginger. I've got a chunk of ginger. I'm just going to slice this up and throw it in there. And another one is, we saw this morning, cardamom pods, and I'll pull those guys out again. They're just these little green pods, you see, okay? And I'm going to crush those guys and just toss them right in the pot and basically bring it up to a simmer like a cup of tea, and I'm going to get all of those flavors in there, and that's going to be the base for my risotto, as I said, okay? This is based on just how I cook some of my favorite rice. If I'm feeling, like I want something a little bit different on my rice, I just throw in a cinnamon stick, a piece of ginger, a bay leaf, and crush a couple of these guys, and I throw them all in the pot with the rice and steam it off, and I've just got this beautiful aromatic, spicy, sweet spice kind of a rice going on, right? It's not just the same old thing that you have every day. It's really, really nice. And I'm going to use that same idea in the liquid for my risotto, okay? So I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to start throwing things in here with my liquid cold. When we're doing infusions, most of the time we really want to start with a cold liquid and bring it up and let the flavors kind of release. Like, for instance, the flavors in the cinnamon will release into the liquid. And I'm throwing 3 cinnamon sticks into this pie. Sounds kind of like apple pie or pumpkin pie or something, but it's going to make sense, okay? I'm going to throw in a bay leaf, just one. I don't want that thing to take over the entire pot. Let me show you this ginger, okay? I'm going to just cut it up into pieces that I'm just going to strain out. And so I'm just going to go right through that, just big pieces. And again, this is exactly what I do in a pot of rice sometimes. If I'm doing a curry or something, I want just kind of a mildly spiced rice. I'm just putting these big pieces in there. And then finally, the last thing I want to deal with is a cardamom pod. And I'm going to smash these guys a little bit. Let me get another little mortar and pestle. I have a smaller one here. And I'm going to get about 4 of these guys. 4, and then I'm just going to smash them just a little bit, just to crack them, so liquid can get in there and those flavors can infuse as well. Boom, it's all in there. Still don't see, still can't see comments coming in. Bummer. We'll figure this out. Maybe this will work. I keep pushing buttons. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and take those broken cardamom pods now, and I'm just going to throw them in this liquid. And all of this is going to come up to temperature, okay? So here comes the fire. And I'm going to go ahead and crank it, bring it on up. And there it all is. Again, those flavors were 3 cinnamon sticks. I threw in probably about 2 ounces of ginger sliced up, 1 bay leaf, and some cardamom pods. Very simple, straightforward stuff. Most of the recipes, if you have seen any of my videos before, most of my recipes are based on 5 ingredients. I'm really trying to keep things simple for people. So it's manageable, okay? And if one ingredient isn't there in your house, hey, you just kind of work around it, okay? You know, I didn't have some turmeric earlier today. I just kind of left that one out of my spice blend. It wasn't a big deal. Okay, so I've got those flavors all together in there, and I'm just going to get these spices out of the way. And we're going to transition into the risotto next, okay? We're just going to go straight into it. Let me get another sip. Welcome, everybody, to another fabulous, fabulous Quarantine Kitchen Happy Hour. I really, really hope you guys can join me today and hang out with me a little bit while I drink and cook and later on eat, okay? We'll taste it together. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of this little mortar pestle. Going bye-bye. And I am going to go ahead and start talking about the rice here, okay? I've got a very different type of rice, and I want to show it to you. Okay, so the type of rice that I have here is called Arborio rice. And there are many rices out there, but not too many like this. This one is what we call a short grain rice as opposed to a long grain rice. I did a grain class where we kind of broke all of this stuff down. These short grain rices, they're known for their starchy qualities, okay? So another example of a short grain rice would be like a Japanese sushi rice, and it clumps together. We all know that that's sometimes called literally sticky rice, right? It's very, very starchy and sticky. This is another type of a short grain rice. The sushi rice is a short grain. This is another type of a short grain rice. And it's short, stubby, and very, very starchy, okay? When we are cooking a risotto, many of you, I'm sure, are familiar with this, but if you have never heard of a risotto, it's kind of different. What we do is we do a little cooking with the rice at first and a little bit of fat and maybe infuse a little bit of flavor into it. But once we do that, we start adding our liquid just a little bit at a time and really, really stirring this rice as it cooks. And when we do that, we start knocking off that residual starch on the outside of the grain, and it starts getting the liquid in that pot kind of creamy looking. And the more we work the rice, the creamier it's going to get. And that is what risotto is all about. When I look at these kernels of rice, you may be able to tell that some of the kernels look a little bit whiter than others, and it's really all of the kernels kind of have this characteristic where there's just kind of one side of it that's much lighter in color than the other. And we're going to kind of be talking about that, but I did want to kind of point that out, that this rice that we're using today, if I didn't say the name before, it's an Arborio rice, a short grain rice from Italy, known for risotto. And it's just going to really release a ton of starch and make our risotto very, very creamy. If you've never had a risotto before, it's very much like I would call it like a rice porridge or something like that. Now, I keep using the term rice because it is called risotto. I mean, it infers rice, I think, right? But again, there are many, many grains you can use this technique with. A favorite of mine is barley. I do a barley risotto all the time. And barley's another one. It has that kind of sticky, kind of gummy starchiness to it. And that's another one that'll kind of get a little bit of a creamy feel to it as it's kind of working in, okay? Let's not forget what's important here. I'm going to get another one of these, and I'm still waiting for my pot to kind of come up to temperature. We're going to kick it off onto another burner in a minute, but you can kind of see everybody is still camped out on top. That means the liquid's still cool. Some of that stuff's going to start sinking as things get a little bit warmer in there. I'll go ahead and give it a stir. Why not? Let's give that a stir. Kind of get things blending in there. We're really just kind of almost brewing a cup of tea here, okay? I use that saying a lot. Okay, another sip. And on with the show. So when we work with risotto, what we need some mise en place, okay? Mise en place, if you're unfamiliar with the term, I use it a lot. It's just everything that I need to execute this dish, okay? So the mise en place for the dish is the rice, of course, okay? And I haven't measured that. It looks to be about 2 cups of rice. And the measurement of this rice is not so much of a concern right now. I just need to know that I need to make sure that I have plenty of liquid to make this, okay? It's going to need more liquid as time, more and more liquid as it cooks off, okay? So liquid is the other thing you're going to need. And you can see, excuse me, my liquid is right there on the stove. Another thing that we tend to work with are any aromatic flavoring combinations. I've spoken many times about how when we are starting many dishes in a pot, we are starting by sweating out ingredients. And we'll usually use an onion or some aromatic vegetable, shallots maybe, or something like that. Ginger or garlic, things like this. We will cook that out, and then this is where we work in all of our spices to kind of build the flavor profile or the DNA of the dish that we're trying to make, okay? So an aromatic onion is going to be the start of this. We're going to start out our risotto by just kind of sweating out a little onion. We'll talk about this is where we blend in flavors if we want. I'm actually infusing flavors into my liquid today, which is a little bit different, okay? But we're going to go through that step of the aromatics. We're going to sweat this out. Once we sweat this out, we're going to go ahead and add our rice in there, get it hot, and then we are going to ladle hot liquid over it and let it cook in. Very important when you're doing this risotto, you want your liquid to be hot. So that's those 3 things. You need your rice, some sort of aromatic, and a hot liquid, and we can make some risotto, okay? So I've got all of those things rolling. I want to let this liquid steep a little bit more, and it's just now coming up to a simmer. You can see it bubbling around the edges. So I'm going to set my rice aside, and what I want to do is a quick ciselé onion. This is that onion cut that we've seen before, where I cut sideways into half of an onion, and then I cut across the top, and then I cut across the face of it to dice that onion up, okay? And so that's what's happening right now. I think before I get into it, I'm going to steel my knife blade. It's a very, very good practice to do so when you're getting into an onion or certain jobs in the kitchen. If I'm slicing a tomato, if I'm slicing herbs, I grab a steel first and I lay my knife across it, okay? As I use that steel, you can see I'm using the whole blade, I'm using the whole steel. Hear it in your sleeve. Whole blade and the whole steel, okay? And that just kind of dresses the edge a little bit. I really should wipe that off a little bit. I am going to wipe off my blade. And we're going to get into this onion. My liquid just came to a boil, so I'm going to turn that down, okay? I am down to about 3 out of 10 right now.